Good morning. Hope everyone's having a great day. It's good to see a lot of smiling faces here this morning. Welcome to Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Lynn Hickson, and I'm a member of the board. It's my honor to welcome you here this morning on behalf of the board and the program council. Whether you are here in the building or watching us online or watching the recording days later, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, and wherever you are on your journey. If you would like more information on our church, you can visit tvuuc.org and select Stay in Touch for the visitor information card. Or you can find one in the seat back pocket in front of you and fill it out the old-fashioned way. If you and your family are interested in our education programs, you can visit the religious exploration table in the art gallery area that you passed by as you came into this room. Reminder that today is our congregational meeting. It is at 12:30. Please join everyone in the fellowship hall for coffee, refreshments, and conversations while we set up the meeting. Childcare is also available if needed. Mark Mahundro is looking for a point person for our church in the Juneteenth parade. If you would be willing to serve as that point person in the parade, please contact Mark or anyone in the office and let them know. And now Claudia is here to give you information on how you can give to our church.
Good morning. I was standing back there waiting for my cue, so I'm so glad Lynn said my name. My name is Claudia Presley, and I am the Director of Finance and Operations here. And today is a designated offering Sunday. For those of you that are new, what that means is that 100% of any contributions that we get in today will be given to our designated offering organization, which this week is Family Promise. Alice Woody's going to be coming up here later to tell you a lot more about Family Promise and all the ways that you can help. But right now, let me just say, if you'd like to contribute, there are offering baskets on the back railing. Checks or cash can go in there. The giving kiosk accepts debit and credit cards. You can text GIVE to the number 73256. Type in TVUUC and the amount that you would like to give, or you can scan one of the QR codes. So lots of different ways to give. If you're online, the other way is on your screen. There should be a button or a bar that says Give Now. So please give when it's time, or give now if you'd like. Any time during the service is entirely appropriate. Thank you.
Additional announcements and calendar of events is in your order of service, so please be sure to look through that before you recycle it today after the service. And as I said before, please join us for coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall as we set up for the congregational meeting. And if you have not already done so, please silence all of your electronic devices as we enter into worship together.
Vaughan Williams' collections of songs called Songs of Travels is a cycle about travel and excitement, loss, nostalgia, getting lost, and the text is by Robert Louis Stevenson.
Our opening words are by Pat Urabe-Lichty. We gather, we bring our sorrows, our disappointments, our failures. We gather for healing, for laughter, and to rejoice. We gather to find new ways of loving, new ways of thinking, new ways of being. We gather. Yes, always we gather, for it is in gathering that we find our hope. Come, let us worship together.
Join together in hymn 21 in your gray hymnal.
morning. My name is Mark Mohundro, and I work here at the church as well as I'm lay leader. I handle new membership and outreach. And today we are going to be welcoming some new members of the church. Anyone is free to come to this church, participate in its activities, aside from voting. But when you become a member, you are publicly stating that you support the mission and vision of the church and want it to continue. When I say your name, please stand up, and these are the new members that we're welcoming today. Bob Mashburn. Paul Davis. Lisa Shields. And Ed and Carolyn Mohundro. I'm going to do a quick reading. This is called I Want to Be with People. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they're getting at, and I know they aren't getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see in me goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that is life and will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be at church with people who let church call them in different ways of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts, minds, and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a great, grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you.
This is our litany of welcoming. Your part is easy. We simply say, we welcome you. We welcome you. Today, we welcome into our community our newest members. We are so excited to have you join our congregation. We invite you to bring your faith and your doubts, your values and your questions, your devotion and your skepticism. We welcome you. We look forward to getting to know you better, learning more about your ideas, your hopes, and your dreams. We look forward to learning more about your gifts and talents, your values and your vision, your generosity of spirit, your personal qualities, and your quirkiness. We offer you a place where you can be yourself, where honesty is the first step towards spiritual growth, where you can be free to share your beliefs without censure or reprisal, and where different points of view enrich our common life. At the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church, we aspire to be a place where people of all faiths can find common ground and work together for the common good and feel empowered. So let us begin our shared work together to make our congregation and our world a welcoming place for everyone. We welcome you. So may it be.
Good morning and welcome to everyone here at the church and to everyone watching the live stream. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mind. I like that. As many of you know, our favorite superhero, Captain Chance Adams, is recovering from a stroke. As of this morning, Chance and family are on their way to Memphis back to St. Jude's to implement a new treatment plan for him. We hope Captain Chance will make significant progress in the days and weeks to come. And this morning, we celebrate our newly resealed and striped parking lot. How about that? The West Knox Pride event was held yesterday, and TVUC was represented by the Children's Diversity and Justice Library. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Carol. And also, we were represented by the high school youth group. And speaking of Pride events, a Pride Interfaith gathering will occur here at TVUC in 2 weeks from today on June 23rd at 3 p.m. A number of area faith groups will participate. Stay tuned for more details. And happy 63rd anniversary to Ed and Carolyn Mahundro. And to the members and friends of TVUC who are coping with ongoing challenges of different kinds, we want you to know we are thinking of you all. And for everyone with joys and concerns, both shared and unspoken, we want you to know we hold you up to the light and we send our love.
This morning's reading is Walden by Henry David Thoreau. It's been adapted for gender-inclusive language. In our most trivial walks, we are constantly, though unconsciously, steering like pilots by certain well-known beacons and headlands. And if we go beyond our usual course, we still carry our minds and the bearing of some neighboring cape. And not till we are completely lost or turned around, for we need only to be turned round once with our eyes shut in this world to be lost, do we appreciate the vastness and strangeness of nature. Everyone has to learn the points of the compass again as often as we awake, whether from sleep or any abstraction. Not till we are lost. In other words, not until we have lost the world do we begin to find ourselves and realize where we are and the extent of our relations. Our responsive reading is number 551 in the Gray Hymnal. It's Earth Teach Me from the Ute Indians of North America, number 551. Earth, teach me stillness, as the grasses are stilled with light. Earth, teach me caring, as parents who secure for their young. Earth, teach me limitation, as the ant who crawls on the ground. Earth, teach me resignation, as the leaves which die in the fall. Earth, teach me to forget myself, as melted snow forgets its life.
I invite you to enter into a time of meditation and prayer with these words by my friend Laura Kelton. Spirit of compassion, source of life, God of many names, we gather today in gratitude for our many blessings, for being in community, for the tender mercies of our lives. We also ache with grief, concern, and anger about the terrible violence in the world and the human capacity to inflict harm on one another. We seek solace in our seeming powerlessness. We hold in our embrace those hiding in shelters and mourning the death of loved ones, the tattered fabric of their lives. We pray for those with power to create peace, that they may recognize the fragile and valuable humanity of those across from them and see how we are all one. As we seek to build the beloved community, may we ever be guided in our faith, in the ability of love to conquer injustice, and in our ability to love beyond belief. Let us enter into a time of silent meditation and reflection together. Amen. You may remain seated for our next hymn, which is hymn 328 in your gray hymnal, I Sought the Wood in Summer.
Good morning. I'm Alice Woody, and I bet most of you can figure out what I'm here to talk about, and that is Family Promise. It's June. It's time for all sorts of wonderful things. Vacations, gardening, outdoor activities, family reunions, barbecues, eating outside. And unfortunately, people are still homeless, and people are still without food. So I'm here today to encourage you to give generously, which of course every Share the Plate recipient wants you to do. And I'm also here to ask you to volunteer to make the stay of the families who are participating in Family Promise have a good stay with us, a place where they can have safe harbor, safe housing, and delicious, healthy food. And that's what we do at Family Promise. Family Promise is an interfaith group of churches under the auspices of Family Promise Knoxville who provide housing and food for families in the program, and these are all families that have children. They can range from newly born until whatever time they don't need their parents anymore, which is, for some people, maybe a little bit beyond the age of 18. All those families are welcome. The families come in, they get to stay together in their rooms. They are not segregated by sex, gender, the way some other places do. In this place, everybody works together. And it can be extremely gratifying to see the families coming in, eat, know they've had a safe place to stay. If you want to know more about Family Promise, these brochures are on the table just as you leave the area of the sanctuary. We're on the right-hand side, across from the RE table as you leave the sanctuary. So, what's up this time? 11 people as of now. It is possible that there could be another small family added. We just don't know yet. Family Promise's goal is to provide help for families without homes and food for families without home. We'll just see. I'll know by the middle of next week, and I will let all of the cooks know. By the way, our program starts on June 16. That is 1 week, folks. 1 week. Starts at 5 p.m. when the families arrive, and they settle into their new temporary housing, and they get their first dinner with us, and we expect it to be a warm and welcoming place. I want to take one step back and say that while this is a Share the Plate event, and definitely we need money. We need money in order to provide the opportunity for people who are in our congregation who want to cook for the families, but yet their budgets may not reach to cover 11 or more additional people for one night a week this week, upcoming week, whatever. Y'all get the idea. It is important that everyone be able to participate if they want to. So we need that money. We need that money to reimburse people. Also, if we do not have enough people sign up to cook, which is, it could happen this time. This will be the first time we will not have ended up with enough people to fill all the slots. We have a group of stalwarts who come in and they do double shifts. They cook and stay the night. They cook one meal and then they cook another meal. But if a lot of people have already told me that they will not be available, and guess what? A lot of those are the people who ordinarily would be taking on extra work. We can't expect people to do 1 or 2 people to cook every meal for this week. That's not going to happen. And if that does happen, we will have to have money to get catering to come in and provide food. And those prices will need to be paid. In order to make it possible for you to register, to volunteer, and to bring a little relief to these 11 or more people, we have a table set up right as you leave the sanctuary. I've already mentioned it once. I see no harm in mentioning it again. In your program, on the 5th page, you will see a QR code that will allow you to go to the new Family Promise website and register. You can register, it takes maybe 2-3 minutes, assuming you know your email address and your phone number. So most of us do that. You can also register to do various other activities in addition to cooking and staying overnight. You can register to do laundry. You can register to move the air mattresses into TVUUC RE rooms and then move them out the next Sunday before our activities start. The people who are responsible for this process, in addition to me, are Betty Coleman. Please stand up, say hi to everybody. And Ori Wilson, I know I saw you. Ori created our beautiful webpage, which is indeed easy to use. I know it's easy to use because I used it, and I am not electronically efficient, I promise you. TVCU needs your support, money and/or time, in order to fulfill our promise, the church's promise, to Family Promise. The families need your help. And I hope that those of you, especially those of you who are new to TVUUC and haven't seen maybe as much of our volunteer efforts to help the community, you will participate and get your first look at how we help the community and help other people. And by the way, you all know this is temporary housing. We have had great success at Family Promise with people finding housing, sometimes better employment. And by the way, most of these people are employed. They sometimes work 2 and 3 jobs. And all of those activities, so it's not as if they aren't trying. They've had something go wrong in their lives, and this is our effort to help them get back on their feet. Thank you.
This offertory is Let Beauty Awake, and it's describing the beauty of sunrise and sunset. Also, coincidentally, Robert Louis Stevenson wrote Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which was the theme of last week's service. In the hour when the birds awake in the Let her wake to the kiss of a tender friend, to render again and receive.
I had an experience many years ago which inspired me to rewrite the words of Robert Frost, so here they are. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that's how I got completely lost. This morning, I want to talk about the virtues of getting lost. And I realize by doing so, I am challenging one of the dominant paradigms in American religion. On Sunday mornings, many people gather in church and they might sing the words of Amazing Grace. I once was lost, but now I'm found. The lyrics suggest that getting lost is bad and that getting found is good. And there are certain circumstances where that is very much true, but religion is all about paradox. It's all about paradox, and today I want to talk about the other side of that paradox, the truth that is found in all the great world religions, that it is by emptying that we are filled, it is by letting go that we gain, it is by losing our lives that we find them. Now, I am the youngest of 5 children, so it was not an uncommon experience for one of my siblings to tell me to get lost. But I didn't know at that time how much sage wisdom could be summarized in those 2 words. In the 19th century, the transcendentalist writer Margaret Fuller described a childhood experience she had of getting lost. In a garden, lost in time and space in the garden. And her experience is relevant for our topic today. So she had this experience in childhood, but she uses very adult language to describe it later. Years later, she wrote, "I saw that there was no self, that selfishness was all folly and the result of circumstance, that it was only because I thought the self real that I suffered, that I only had to live in the idea of the all, and all would be mine. The truth came to me, and I received it unhesitatingly, so that I, for that hour, was taken up into God. Since then I have suffered as I must suffer again, till all the complex be made simple. But I have never been in discord with the great harmony." Walking through the garden, Margaret Fuller lost herself in the great harmony. And by losing herself, she found herself. The writer Iris Murdoch talks about a similar experience. I was watching this week about a documentary on PBS about Stonewall Uprising, and one of the things that I found so startling was the level of propaganda in the 1950s, the homophobic propaganda, how much that was infiltrating our schools, infiltrating public education, and even one of the newscasters who was talking in the 50s is someone who periodically does newscasts today. So this is not ancient history. And I mention that because the writer Iris Murdoch wrote books with very vivid gay characters in the 1950s, and often these characters were in a church or participating in religious life in some way. And she talked about a spiritual experience that was very important for her. She called those moments of unselfing. Unselfing. and she described one of her own experiences of unselfing, putting the experience in the present tense with her language. She wrote, "I am looking out of my window in an anxious and resentful state of mind, oblivious to my surroundings, brooding on some damage done to my prestige. Then suddenly I observe a hovering kestrel. In a moment, everything is altered. The brooding self with its hurt vanity has disappeared. There is nothing but kestrel. And when I return to thinking of the other matter, it seems less important." And of course, this is something which we may also do deliberately. Give attention to nature in order to clear our minds of unselfish care. So that's her description of unselfing. And she not only described that experience, she prescribed it. So we all need to find moments of unselfing. Now, in Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and Dharma Recovery and many other recovery groups, there's a slogan, "Let go of your ego." Let go of your ego. If you think about it, many addictions are efforts to lose ourselves. To lose ourselves in a bottle, to lose ourselves in the euphoria of chemicals, to lose ourselves through some form of consumption, to drink or use or behave in such a way as to experience oblivion. Oblivion. Here's how Webster's dictionary defines oblivion. First definition: the fact or condition of not remembering, a state marked by a lack of awareness or consciousness. 2, the condition or state of being forgotten or unknown. In other words, this human desire we have to experience oblivion suggests that we all have a deep desire to get lost. Of course, the problem with addictive habits and behaviors is they are all about short-term pleasure and long-term pain. And spirituality holds out the hope that we might find more sustainable ways of unselfing, more sustainable ways to reach these experiences. George Harrison, the Beatle, once described his own spiritual journey as moving from medication to meditation. The journey is about moving from getting lost in ways that harm to getting lost in ways that help and lead to lasting happiness, healing, and wholeness. One of the ways to lose ourselves is to get a good night's sleep. If you think about it, that's what we do every night. We lose ourselves to sleep. Falling asleep is all about letting go. And the body hungers and thirsts for sleep the way it hungers for food and thirsts for water. Now, I remember when I was going through a period of my life and I was having a hard time getting to sleep because of all the worries I had at that particular time. And one night I drifted off into a very deep sleep. But at some moment, I could feel myself waking up. And I heard a voice say, "Don't remember who you are." Ever since then, I've realized that going to sleep is all about forgetting ourselves, forgetting who we are. Getting a good night's sleep is about learning to lose ourselves. There are many other areas of life where we can lose ourselves. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "Without music, life would be a mistake." And I think one of the reasons that's true is because it's easy to lose ourselves in music. Listening to a symphony, we might lose ourselves in the harmony. Listening to one of our favorite songs through our earbuds, we might lose ourselves in the moment. Or singing a hymn together. Singing a hymn together, we might lose ourselves in the greater chorus. During the pandemic, I started a practice that I call Beatles yoga. I would come into the church at least an hour or so before work would begin, and I would bring my guitar, and I still do this periodically, bring my guitar into this sanctuary and just sing songs, play the guitar and sing songs. And since a lot of the songs I know are by the Beatles, that's why it's Beatle yoga. But another reason it's yoga is it's not about being seen or being heard. It's not about performance or an audience. It's about losing ourselves in a song. Losing ourselves in a song. So if you ever come very early to church on a weekday morning and you hear music wafting down the halls, it may be me losing myself in a song. Losing myself in a song. Another place we can get lost is nature. The eco-theologians tell us that we need to move out of the world we've made so we can enter into the world that has made us. That there's so much healing to be found in breaking away from the world we've made and entering into the world that made us. Sometimes when I walk in the woods, though, I find there is still a church committee meeting spiraling in my head. Or maybe there's an email and then a counter email and then another email and then maybe a group email. Maybe that email chain is filtering in my head. Or maybe it's thinking about the long-range plan of the church or something, But whenever that's happening, that means I haven't lost myself. I haven't lost myself in the world that made me. And the challenge is to let go of that committee meeting, to let go of the emails, to let go of our long-range plans, and just exist in the moment. For Iris Murdoch, it was a kestrel that brought her out of herself. For me, it might be a mama bear and her cubs, or a doe and her fawn, or a wild turkey in a field spreading his feathers. Doesn't matter what it is. All it has to do is be something that brings us out of ourselves. Social service is another way to lose ourselves. In the Universalist tradition, there's a saying, love is the doctrine of our church and service is our prayer. This morning we heard from Alice Woody about Family Promise, and we're hosting Family Promise from June 16th to the 23rd. And what that means is that our church becomes a home for people who would otherwise be homeless. The RE classrooms become bedrooms. The youth group area becomes a living room and a playroom. Our fellowship hall becomes a dining room. And we offer hospitality. And we're looking for lots of volunteers to do that. So don't be afraid to lose yourself in a good cause. I often do 2 overnight shifts. And I love the chance to meet and have dinner with our guests and to play and get to know their children and to make sure the building's secure so we can all get a good night's sleep. It's always good to get lost in a good cause. Now, in the Taoist tradition, they say something that might sound at first like Unitarian heresy. The Taoists say, if we stop thinking, we will end our problems. Oh my God, if we stop thinking. In the Zen tradition, they take it a step further and say, no self, no problems. No self, no problems. Both traditions suggest that we are the ones who make ourselves miserable. As Shakespeare once observed, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. A lot of our own misery comes from our own ways of thinking. A lot of our suffering comes from our inability to let go of our ego, to lose ourselves in the harmony of life. Now, one of the central tenets of Buddhism is anatta, which can be translated as no self. There is no self. And there's some scientific basis for this because science has yet to detect exactly where the self is. Evangelicals often tell us about saving souls. But Buddhists talk about losing ourselves. This insight can be succinctly summarized in the following joke. Question: what did the Buddhist say to the hot dog vendor? Answer: make me one with everything. In Buddhism, there is no dividing line that marks where we begin and the rest, or where we end and the rest of creation begins. There's no clear dividing line between self and other, or self and the world around us. This is a very ecological way to see it. Science confirms it. We are all part and parcel of one life. According to Buddhism, one of the great illusions is that there is a self in here and a world out there. The Buddhist storyteller Rafe Martin puts it this way: in reality, there is no inner person forever, terribly, and irrevocably separate from 10,000 things: moons, stars, bugs, wind, animals, trees, mountains, rivers, people. And so ultimately, there is no one to benefit from self-centeredness. The best moments of our life are rarely when we are caught up in self-concern. Instead, they tend to be those times when we forget ourselves. So one of the central doctrines of Buddhism is anatta, that there is no self. And this led the satirical writer of the book Zen Judaism to say, if there is no self, whose arthritis is this? Well, suffice it to say, the Buddhist doctrine of anatta will not cure your arthritis, but it will help to see how our suffering is part and parcel of the suffering of the whole world. I've had a personal experience with that. As you know, in the last newsletter, I informed the congregation about my own journey. I've been diagnosed with prostate cancer, got a very good treatment plan, very good, the goal's cure, don't worry. But what's happened is people have come forward with their stories of all different kinds of cancer: brain cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer. And it really has helped me to see my suffering connected with the suffering of the whole world. And that is what community is. When we feel that our suffering is connected with the suffering of everyone around us. And that's what we do as a church. As a minister and as a church, one of our jobs is to help people prepare for the end of life, that moment when we all lose ourselves. Now, after this service, we will be having a congregational meeting. We will be voting on a budget, and we will be electing officers, and I encourage you to come. I encourage you to participate. I encourage you to be involved. But this business undergirds our central business, which is to answer these questions. How are we to live? And how are we to face death? And how are we to grapple with our own mortality? And how are we to support each other along the way? How are we going to learn to let go? The poet Mary Oliver once wrote words that I share every time I do a burial in our memorial garden up on the hill. And if you've lost a loved one and had a burial ceremony on that hill, then you will be familiar with these words. She wrote, to live in this world, we have to be able to do three things: love what is mortal, hold it against our bones, knowing our own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. Ultimately, we exist in this world in order to lose ourselves. So let me bring this sermon to a conclusion. So together we can lose ourselves in our closing hymn. And then we can have our final words. There'll be lots of other things happening after that. But when you leave this building And when you go out into the world, I offer this advice in the kindest possible way. Get lost. Let's join together in our closing hymn, Rise, Embody Your Spirit. Hymn 38 in the gray hymnal, Morning Has Broken. Church, the world awaits your liberating ministry. Go forward in the power of love. Proclaim the truth that makes us free. As our last act of worship, I invite you to turn and greet your neighbor and then stay for the congregational meeting.